Welcome. How are you? How are you all doing? Just hours before Argentina plays this quarterfinal match against Switzerland, this has caused a small earthquake in the world of football. Because in addition, it is framed within the context of that FBI investigation that started the other day. At the moment, no one has been charged, no one is under investigation, but the FBI does have an active investigation underway. And this is an a video rather, a video that, as I said in the previous video, I was going to publish. I didn't know it was going to be a video. I thought it was going to be information, an article. However, he made a 24-minute long video. Romain Molina, who is this journalist who, on some occasion, sorry for my voice, man, all of us here at the World Cup are losing our voices. Air conditioning, the heat in Dallas, going in and out, talking a lot, right? That's what happens. Well, anyway, Molina is this man. The EFA was investigated. There was some very suspicious activity. That was the link that needed to be made. Apparently, direct involvement from FIFA. What Romain Molina says in that video is the following about the numerous cases of irregularities in the Argentine Football Association, in which the international organization either turned a blind eye or even took advantage of them. Among his accusations is the following. FIFA allegedly protected Diego Guachi, former coach of Argentina's women's youth teams, after he was accused of sexual abuse by 5 players. The organization closed the case due to lack of evidence and allegedly leaked the identities of the complainants. 2. The journalist claims that FIFA transferred the prize money for winning the 2022 World Cup to the company Turterproc, instead of to the AFA, after being chosen 9 days before the final to collect its earnings. The company had been recently created based in Miami and is part of the FBI investigation for alleged fraud and money laundering. Molina talks about the influence of Emilio Garcia, director of FIFA, on possible decisions regarding South American soccer. FIFA leaders are always very well received in Buenos Aires. The gatherings are luxurious and they are very close. A few years ago, CONMEBOL and FIFA were at war. For some years now, CONMEBOL has managed to get everything at once. A sense of impunity. The journalist says, well, let me make a brief aside that just came to mind. Do you see how Infantino gets along with Alejandro Dominguez, the president of CONMEBOL, right? The Paraguayan. Do you see how he gets along with UEFA? No, it's the complete opposite with Zeferi. In fact, after the Balogun incident, there has been strong criticism from UEFA regarding FIFA's decision to overturn the red card for the American player. Well, it's a feeling of impunity. The journalist reports that the leaders of Latin American football were caught up in the FIFA Gate scandal after doing business with American banks and companies. Why do FIFA and others keep turning to them? The connection would be the same again. FIFA. In light of the latest information, EU lawmakers want an investigation into the president of FIFA, Gianni Infantino. Here's what was published. We'll see what happens in the coming days. For now, it's something that's being handled in the offices. It hasn't reached the field yet. But well, everything starts like this, right? Everything starts like this, with cover-ups, with favors, with mysterious, shady maneuvers. And well, like in the case of Barca with Negreira, maybe it takes us a while. Although here, of course, this is about events from 4 years ago, so some time has passed. But the timelines for first journalistic investigations and then for the justice system are very long. And let's not even mention what has happened in Spain with a club like Barcelona making payments to a senior refereeing official for 20 years, which became known, in fact, 20 years after they started being made. So, well, this is what has been published today. And for now, many media outlets haven't given special coverage to this matter. Also because it comes from a single journalist, although it's based on something tangible, right? Or it's within the framework of something tangible, which is that FBI investigation. Yes, the other day, it's true, the media did report on it. Well, this comes after Spain qualified for the semifinals yesterday by beating Belgium, and all that manufactured uproar that has been created because behind this, I insist, in a very artificial way, are content creators and influencers. And all the people who make noise on social media, who have a platform and all that, mainly from what I've seen, mainly Argentinians. They're trying to sell us the idea that this was a robbery, as we saw in the last video yesterday, that this defensive action by Laporte, clearing the ball very close to Rodri. First, the ball hits him between the badge and shoulder. Maybe something else happened, but I only see it hit between the badge and shoulder, on the chest. And then maybe it's hitting him on some part of the arm, trying to sell us that this is a clear handball and that it's a robbery and a heist. It's unbelievable. When the rule says clearly, well, also, they're making a lot of noise, I insist. With that, for example, about Cucurella in the match against Germany in the Euros. They also mentioned what happened yesterday, right? They are quickly told that it was the Cucurella handball. It was preceded by an offside from Füllkrug. And that in any case. All right? And the rule also says regarding the possible handball by Rodri, it's not a penalty for multiple reasons. This is what the IFAB rule says. It's preceded by a rebound. His hand is in a natural position. The position of his hand is necessary for balance. It's unintentional. Rodri didn't have time to move his arm away. And I would add, besides that, the ball first bounces off his chest. So first it goes from Laporte to Rodri's chest. And from there, if anything, and yes, without seeing it, if anything, to the arm. The experts, all the refereeing experts, absolutely all of them. So you can see how artificial this is. From those who want to make noise about this, they have all said that it's not a handball, right? That you would have to go back. And if we compare it with Cucurella's, which I insist was preceded by an offside, you would have to go back. And people barely talk about this. Just so you can see how things are on social media. Damn, I sound like a heavy drinker. Just so you can see how things are on social media, what seems outrageous. That's what people are saying. Especially because there are more people putting more pressure on regarding a specific action, right? Because you tell me why everyone talks so much about the other one and not this one, right? This play where Baena shoots and the Belgian player, damn, the Belgian player is acting like a goalkeeper here, even if he later uses his hand. Even if he puts his hand behind his back later, the handball is obvious. We discussed this yesterday too. Just look at it. I mean, the guy gets hit. He gets hit on the arm. Clearly, his arm is down, just like what happened with Cucurella. Although here there was no offside. That led to the play. But it's more than obvious that this, I mean, it's as clear a handball as you can get, right? Anyway, it was a match that Spain won, not just well, very well. There was no referee controversy except for these two plays, one for each side. I feel especially certain about one of them, and that there wouldn't be anything, I mean, you won't see anyone out there making a scene about this, except for people who are on a mission, right? On a mission to counteract or to balance things out. And I came across two really funny videos because, of course, now some people, not all of them, Argentinians are acting like victims, asking why people hate them so much. And here, one of their neighbors, a Uruguayan, he knows them well, especially those who, I mean, those who talk the most, right? The ones with the biggest mouths. Always about the topic of soccer, or like soccer as a way to talk about other nations and all that. Well, of course, this gentleman says, hey, I know you well. This thing about playing the victim, it sounds ridiculous to me. And this is how he explains it.
The truth is, I want to talk to all the anti-Argentine people out there in the world. There are more and more of them. It seems like they're multiplying. You know, like, well, Argentine phobic. Now Argentines are playing the victim. For you, the French are all from Angola. Chileans live in a hallway. Uruguayans are dinosaurs. The Spanish national team is easy. They don't play any football. The best player in Mexico is El Chavo del Ocho. Colombians play for Deportivo Escobar. People make cancel-worthy gestures at Brazilians. But if someone says something to you, you play the victim. There's anti-Argentine bias. You mess with everyone, but no one can say anything to you. Because at the slightest thing, you start crying. You travel the world proudly representing Argentina, but now that people notice, you act like a victim. Own your actions. This is your doing.
Of course, it's just that you have to learn to take certain things, right? Exactly. The ones who talk, mind you, the ones who talk. I know a lot of people, of course, who aren't like that in this sense. But I've seen another one that honestly, I have to admit, really made me laugh. But of course, you say, hey, for those who haven't seen previous videos, right? It's true that they make fun of, yes, it's true. This is a video. I don't know who this is, but they're talking about Spain. Regarding national teams, I'm talking about Spain and soccer and how it compares to what soccer means to Argentinians.
You guys know about having hotels hosting people making ham. You know about that, right? But we produce soccer players. You have two clubs that monopolize European soccer. You create a league with just two main teams, the rest are just extras. Then we play you, and if you don't win, that's fair. Now you have good soccer since you got organized. Because, etc., etc.
etc., etc. At least this one admits it. Others won't even do that.
Basta. Enough with the lies. Enough. Spain can't win a World Cup final, of course, but in this sport, we're the ones in charge. If you want to discuss bullfighting, throwing tomatoes at people, or serving great meals in restaurants, about watching the sunset in Madrid, seeing nations divided when they should be united, and how Catalans look down on people from Madrid and Argentinians.
Damn, when so many cliches come together, it's clear you have no arguments, right? But anyway, in any case, this one makes me laugh. Out of all that,
Football is our thing. Then I repeat, it's a match and they can beat us.
well, there would be no shortage of cliches to turn to when talking about Argentinians. That's why this social media battle is funny if you take it that way. If you see it as just people with megaphones. Hey, there are loudmouth Spaniards too. There are Argentinians, there are people from everywhere. If you take it like that, that's it. What you shouldn't do is generalize. For example, I just listened to La Voz Davos Enis, who I think is Argentinian. I think he's a fantastic communicator. He analyzes matches really well, and I've never heard him say a bad word about Spain. Not because he shouldn't say it, but because he respects their football. He's the first to say, don't lump everyone together, especially not all Argentinians. That's why, right? The thing is, football in general and the World Cup in particular generate these kinds of exaggerated reactions because the tournament is so intense and stirs up so much passion. Let's just enjoy and laugh about it. No big deal. I'm out for this match. Thanks and all the best. Like, comment, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And that's it. See you in the next one. Bye.